So my view of the Shiloh Hendrix situation, coming right up. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Common Sense Logical Reason. As always, I want to say thank y'all for joining me today. So as y'all know, everybody know about the situation that happened in which the white woman by the name of Shiloh Hendrix basically called a black child a nigger on the playground. Now, according to her, the child took something from her, a 5-year-old, who everybody's saying is autistic. Not that that really matters, but the child took something from her, and she lashed out on the child and was calling the child a nigger. Now, there was a black man who basically came to the forefront and challenged her on that, which she then didn't back down and didn't budge on what she said. Now, by the way, that black man that came to the forefront was a tether, right? So there was no FBA to come to advocate for that black child. It was a tether. But anyway, now I fault her for lashing out at a child. You know, you don't lash out at a child. That's not going to really get you anywhere. What good is it going to get you to talk to a child? That's not going to, that's not going to change anything. Is it going to change any of the behavior of the child? Probably not, because again, this is a child, doesn't know any better for the most part. Now, at 5 years old, you think that a child will start to learn, but it really depends upon parenting. Which brings us to point number one, the biggest elephant in the room. Where in the world were the parents? You telling me you have a 5-year-old child that everybody's saying is autistic, is unsupervised on the playground? So much so that there was nobody to advocate for that child? First of all, number one, it's some type of supervision to tell the child not to take from someone, and then to stand up and tell the adult, the Shiloh, hey, you can address me on it. That's my child. You can address me on that. If my child did something wrong, you address it to me, and then I'll address my child. Well, where was the parent to address that? And it seems to be a recurring problem with a lot of these kids, or badass kids, as they say, is a lack of parenting. And then when a white person responds in a certain way that they don't like, then black folks want to get mad. The number one thing that we need to be looking at is we need to hear the parents. Where are the damn parents of this child? And then everybody's upset that she supposedly said nigger to a child. Well, that's a very disingenuous argument. So she could have said the N-word to an adult? If it would have been okay for this white woman to say the word nigger to an adult, or nigger, whatever it is? No. So they will be crying either way. So to try to say that, well, because she did this to a child, is very disingenuous. She could have did that to any black person, and it'll be cries of racism. So that's a bunch of BS. And then I would love to know, well, where is the outcry when blacks called little black kids niggers? I've heard far more adult blacks refer to children as a bunch of little niggas than I've heard anything said of a white person. So there's never been much outcry for that. Well, of course, because they can't cry racism, but you know why? Which brings us to the next point. Well, what if Shiloh was a black woman? How wouldn't it not be racism that a black woman would have called a child a nigger? But it's racism if a white person does it. What's the difference? It makes absolutely no sense, and it is a stupid argument that we are so offended by the word nigger, but if a black person said it's okay, that's idiotic. Absolutely idiotic. Anyway, y'all, black fatigue is a very real thing. It really truly is a real thing. And what we see happening is going to see more and more white people start to lose that white guilt. That I'm not guilty of anything. I didn't own any slaves. I didn't do anything to anyone. Regardless of what was done by white people in the past, it wasn't me. So don't hold me accountable to that. And I really don't give a damn. And I believe that's probably what we saw, maybe partly what we saw from this woman. I have to say, it's partly her being a female and partly her being upset with being through with black fatigue, of being having to be tiptoe around the bush for blacks, while black folks don't have to do the same. But like I said, I warn black people that black fatigue is a real thing, and you're gonna just keep pushing people and pushing white folks to the point that white people just say straight up fuck it. And I guarantee you, black folks, you don't want white people saying fuck it. Y'all do not want fuck it from white people. Y'all don't want that. They don't want that smoke. I don't care how much of a real nigga you think somebody is. I guarantee you, there ain't no nigga that real that they want that smoke. So they need to stop with this foolishness, stop with this black victimhood over absolutely nothing. Keep always crying about racism, but never have any real evidence of it. Okay? I'm not concerned about her saying the N-word. I hear enough black people saying the N-word. Okay, it's in the music, it's on TV. I hear it spoken out by black people in person. So I'm not worried about the N-word. I hear enough for blacks. If the N-word is so bad, then black people need to stop saying it. Don't tell me that the word is bad. It's okay for when black people say it because of all the BS excuses. But when a white person said, I'm supposed to be offended? Nonsense. Regardless, anyway, in closing, like I said, the only thing that I fought her for was addressing the child. You don't address a child like that because it's pointless. But everything else, I'm sorry, I really don't give a damn. And the thing that I'm most concerned about than anything is I would love to know where the parents are. I need to know where the parents are, because the parents are the ones that we need to be looking at. And why weren't you there with your child out on the playground? Because anything can happen. I mean, that child was just called a nigger. Something way worse could have happened without parent supervision to that child. Anyway, like I said, that's my 2 cents on this. And I just don't fault this woman for anything other than addressing the child like that. Beyond that, I really don't give a damn. And as always, until next time.